I too would like to thank the WYNN, everyone at the WYNN, who we've been able to partner together a few times here, and it's been awesome. And my friends at Goodman Speakers, they're the best. Give them a round of applause, please.
Can we put our phones down? Can we put our phones down?
You may.
Okay.
You may put your phones down. In fact, until we start going this way, you know, with the free bird.
Free bird.
Which probably won't happen. Here we go. I also love this because I love to open conferences. It's my favorite thing in the world. And here's how we do it. Awesome, thank you. I did that because I can. No, I did that because the guitar is the best way that I have to describe something that I'm passionate about. It's why I'm here, it's why I do what I do. I believe that we are each capable of far more than we ever knew was possible. I genuinely believe that we are each a gold mine of unrealized potential. And we are surrounded every moment of the day by opportunities to access that potential. Opportunities that we miss. Opportunities to step beyond what's been done before. To look at old things in a new way. Not change for the sake of change, but change for the sake of improvement. Sending a picture of the driver rather than just a text or showing up at baggage claim. Okay, for me to try to play the guitar a little differently than it's been played for the last 500 years. So would you basically agree with that?
Yes.
So, this is going to be good. So the question becomes, how do we access that potential? And it's funny because I get the opportunity to present for many different types of groups, and I always have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. You've got to be wondering, okay, what in the world are we going to learn about meetings from Kumbaya Boy? And if you're looking for specifics, perhaps not that much. But it's not about the specifics. The fact is what it takes for each of us, because we're human beings. The commonality of our human experience is what it takes for us to be able to access that unrealized potential, to be innovative and creative, is exactly the same, no matter what the industry, career, or endeavor. So what I'm going to do with you right now is share with you 3 simple tools to do just that. These are, I'm going to go through them one at a time. I'm going to illustrate them, that's the fun part. And then I'm going to attempt to prove that they work by doing 2 things I thought were impossible to do on one acoustic guitar. Cool? Cool, good. So let's jump in. And by the way, these are artistic principles. I'm going to present them in a business context, but that's my background as an artist, okay? The first tool, to change anything, the first thing that has to change is our brains, the way we think. You may have heard this phrase, but the thinking that got you to where you are sitting right now will not get you any further. The most basic human brain function, cognitive function, is to ask questions. I don't know if you realize that. Our brains are questioning, asking thousands of questions a day. It's like a computer. Let's say you're driving. Which direction am I going? Is the light turning red or green? Should I turn left or right? What did she say? What did she mean by what she said? guy question.
Adam's daily routine.
But the girls still get it.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Don't look at me like that.
So those questions are going on thousands of times a day. And we've got this inertia of the old way of thinking, okay? So to change anything, we have to change the question. And while there are many great questions, I want to share with you my favorite. It's absolutely simple. You've totally heard this before, but I'm going to invite you to revisit it with me. And the question is this: what if? What if? When you ask the question, what if, in a positive way, you open up the possibilities by definition. What if we could do that? What would it look like? Oh, I know it's nuts, but what if we tried that? How would it work? Well, it's crazy. We've never done that before. But what if we did? How would it happen? There are two powers behind the question, what if? First of all, it doesn't mean you're going to do it. Whatever this concept, this idea is, it doesn't mean you're committed to anything. Counterintuitively, that lack of commitment is an unbelievable strength. Why? Because if there's nothing on the line, at that moment, absolutely anything is possible. And that's where we want to start. Let's throw out the old thinking. Not that we can't pick it back up if we need to, but let's throw it out for a second. Let's move to the new ground and just say, what if we could do that? What would it look like? This is where innovation starts. That's one. The other strength is because questions define the way we think. When you ask the question, what if, in a positive way, not what if there's a tornado. I don't mean that kind of thing. When you ask it in a positive way, what if we could do that, and you make this a habit, it starts to happen over and over again, you have reprogrammed your brain to where you are now walking through life no longer looking for reasons you can't. Your default, where you come to the table, is to look for reasons that you can. It is a simple change, but it is profound in the effects that it has. And I have countless testimonials about how this works. I practice this in my life daily. I learned this by playing for drunk people. We've all got a challenge.
Yay!
We'll get to see in a few hours, okay? I would not be authentic if I was not speaking from my experience. Just use this as a metaphor. I had this dream of playing guitar. And I, like a lot of people, I started in clubs and bars. And when you've got something that you want to do, I mean, when you practice, you memorize, you're enthusiastic, you go in, you're expecting great results, right? And that's what I did, because it's my dream. And I went in there, and right away, I got people yelling out stupid requests under the influence of alcohol, which is a really old joke, but thank you. And I didn't know what to do that. I don't know this song, I don't like this song. And I started to look bad. And we've all seen someone on stage who's not doing very well, right? And your skin crawls for them. You just wish they would. And that was me every time I got one of these requests. And then something cool happened. I got fed up. There is a wisdom to becoming fed up. If the status quo and the results you're getting are not what you want, get fed up. That's when things change. So I knew something had to change. I went back in the next night, didn't know what it was, but I went in and I started playing a few songs in. I got another silly request. And I started into the old pattern. And then I thought, no, something's got to change. And to this day, I have no idea why, but it popped into my head. Thank you. I thought, what if I could? To this weird request. I didn't say it out loud, just to myself. What if I could? What would I do? And it didn't mean I went and learned the song. It meant I changed it. I did something different with the lyrics or with the artist or whatever. Whenever I did that way, they laughed. Which was a new result, but it was a good result. Okay. So I moved on. And then I got another, I tried it again. And I came up with something and I tried it and they laughed again. And over time, the people who came to hear me regularly started going, something's different here. Something cool's happening, right? And over years of doing this, those requests that I dreaded, that I hated, and I avoided every day, brought out the best in everything I do. They made me a comedian, a speaker. Everything I love about my career came from something that I hated at first. So as we go through these, I would love for you to think about whatever it is that you dread or avoid, or that cloud in your life, that thing that you just really don't like. We're going to circle back on that in just a little bit. But we're going to have some fun with these requests. This is arbitrary, but I actually got requests for what they call the boy bands. In Stink. What's it? The Savage Garden. Yeah. I want to stand with you on mountain.
Honestly, I love that song, so I'm so upset right now.
I want to live like this forever. God bless you. So what if I could? Here's the cool thing. When you ask and answer the question, you're coming up with a solution that is totally yours. It is a product of your abilities and experiences. No one else would come up with it. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Here's how I heard that song. Oh yeah, boy bands have to have choreography. I was your dream, I was your wish, I was your fantasy. I was your life, I was everything you want me to be. But you were mean and you were bad and you lied to me. You were the worst, you did it all, you even cheated on me. I wanna throw you off of a mountain. I wanna hold you under the sea. I wanna lay you to rest forever till the police come looking for me. If you enjoyed that, we're gonna have a blast tonight. Check this out. I used that question, what if, to write a Christmas song for my friend Philippe upon hearing the results of his paternity test. Where's this going? Philippe's not a dad. Philippe's not a dad. You'll sing that for 2 weeks. That's right. And you'll remember me at Christmas. Now, if I had to say that there's a common denominator with each organization that gets presented for, it's this. We're trying to manage change. Have you heard this before? Yes. We're trying to manage change. Change the economy, change technology, the way we do business, customer base. Peter Drucker summed up my philosophy perfectly. He said, managing change is not only stupid, it's dangerous. The only way to manage change is to create change. And now my words, to be the ones who step out and define the curve rather than follow it. And I would argue, first of all, when you ask the question, what if, in a positive way, you're coming up with a solution, either individually or as an entire team, as a small team, whatever. I love to do this as a team question. When people sit down with us and kind of have a meeting, what if meeting. When you ask it, you are coming up with a solution that is a product of your abilities and experiences or those of your team. No one else would have come up with it. Or no one else would have applied it in the same way. When we then have the courage to act on those solutions we've generated, you're now doing something no one else would have done. In fact, I've always heard, our strength is our diversity. We have strength in diversity, right? It's just a pretty phrase. It's really nice. We say it all the time, but I'm a pragmatist. I'm like, okay, how? How is there strength in diversity? This is it. When we're willing to draw from our diverse backgrounds, use them, value them, and honor them, and bring things out because of them, we're now doing something no one else would have done. And this is a way to tap into that, okay? Now, the first time, I want to sort of say, the first time I tried this, or discovered this, I would perform at these I had moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and the requests changed. And when people request country, it's not, could you play some country? It's country, come on! Okay? And they're packing, you gotta do it. And I didn't know what to do with that. And I thought, what if? To myself, what if? Not even expecting an answer. And I got one just to get through the night, but I have been doing it ever since then. I just took the songs I do know and played them country. It's a whole new genre. The first one that came out is Tom Petty. Give it one more time. She's a good girl, loves Jesus, she's a good girl, she's about else, loves horses and a boyfriend. Now I'm free And the idea is to make this a habit. And it's in each one of us to be that way, to be that possibility thinker. And we already know people who are like this. And we go to them for solutions because we know they're just thinking that way. And what I'm saying is, we were all born that way. So this is a way to tap into that, to bring it out. And I found a way to quiz myself on this, to keep it a habit. I can do any song country, any song. And I have no idea why. I just do this. I'll prove it. Who let the dog down? Who let the dog down? That's a country song, man. Any type of music, any type of music. They keep trying to catch me riding dirty. We get like 12 hip-hop fans. It's okay, we'll reach out. We'll reach out. More recognizable hip-hop. Let's see. It's getting hot in here. Anyone over 30 that was not okay, we go to classic. We go to classic rock. Let's see. Queen. Buddy, you're an always make a big boy play in the street. Don't be a man someday. You got mud all over your face. Big disgrace, somebody better put your feet in. One more. Flow Rider. Apple bottom jeans. She hit it wrong. Next thing you know, Shawty got low roller. I'm so glad you're here and sitting right there.
I'm not even a plant.
Now, I think when we talk about and we think about change, we imagine something new, something that didn't exist before and has been created, which is sometimes the case. But have you not noticed that quite often the most profound and effective changes are simply new ways of looking at something that already existed, new ways of using it, or combining things that had never been put together before in a way that makes them now something awesome and new. Great example, Apple's iPod. People don't remember this now, but when the iPod came out, it changed not only the entire consumer electronics industry, it changed the entire entertainment industry, and that's not easy to do. We buy and sell music on iTunes because of the iPod, single-handedly. So, something brand new, right? Wrong. The iPod is nothing more than MP3 technology which existed for 10 years before that. It was in every consumer electronics company. Sony had it, Toshiba, all of them had it. The difference is Apple was willing to say, what if? We took that same technology, made it small, cute, gave it a little curly thing that we could turn, you know, the little menu, and oh wow, that's so cool. And it'll hold 1,000 songs. They combined a few things, again, things that already existed, the small, you know, headphones and everything, and came up with something that revolutionized everything. And it's my contention that those opportunities to greater and lesser degrees lay in front of all of us every moment of the day. We just miss them. What if is a great way to find that. Now, the way I sort of stumbled onto this, I would play in these clubs, and people would yell the request all at the same time. I had a cutoff time, I had to fit them in, and it wouldn't work. And I thought, but what if you could? To myself. And I came up with a weird idea. I put them together. I would choose two of the artists, they yelled, do an imitation of that one, singing that one's hit song, knock off 2 songs, 1 shot. Got time for a few of these. This is, let's see, I switch these all around. This is Bob Marley, king of reggae, right? Sings Garth Brooks. Oh, yeah, if you like either one, we're gonna hate I got good friends in low places. No, what if? There's different ways. This is Bruce Springsteen.
Oh dear.
Sings Green Acres. Oh. Let's do this right. Oh, Springsteen. Don't lose the metaphor. I wouldn't teach this if it didn't keep working. I get emails from people with sales increases from companies, individuals that had challenges that they overcame. Sometimes have been heavy issues, and my hope is, okay, you couldn't be in this room if you weren't an influencer in some way, right? Pretty serious way for you guys. So it's my hope that you take this back and share it, okay? Inspire it in others. And I can tell you the best way to do that. The best way to inspire anything in other people is to jump into their world as much as you can, in whatever way you can, to jump into their world. That's why we do conference calls before the programs, for jump into their world. And I learned this because I have kids. I have a son named Zachary who's 11, and I have a daughter named Seneca who's 14 going on 40. And with Zachary, I used to read to him, and his favorite was Dr. Seuss. And he was so cute. He'd say, Daddy, because he knows what I do, right? He'd say, Daddy, what if you did Dr. Seuss in your show? And I want to encourage this, right? Because it's a cool thing. That's a good question, Zachary. And now, of course, you know, I mean, I speak and I do music, and that's a children's book, so it really wouldn't be. But Daddy, what if? He gets it. Darn it. So, and I remember we were in Thailand in Florida, and we're driving to Sarasota, and this popped up. This is Dr. Seuss, as performed by Led Zeppelin. Tonight I like green eggs and ham. Tonight I like them Sam I am. When I come out in a box, when I come out with a fox. Green eggs and ham. Green eggs and ham. And you guys know better than anyone on this planet that the way you inspire one person is not necessarily the way you inspire another person, right? And you got to cover for all the bases, right? For my daughter, I became a Taylor Swift fan. Yes, and I'm a genuine fan. I think Taylor's great. And so Seneca is my daughter. Seneca and I, a few years ago, were sitting around talking about Taylor's big hit song called You Belong With Me, right? And if you don't know the song, let me set up the story. In the song, Taylor is the girl next door. She's got this thing for the cool guy in high school. But he's got the snooty cheerleader girlfriend, right? And it's a play between the two girls. So Seneca and I are talking about it. What if? And she knows what I do, knows where we're going with this. What if? What if? And together, we came up with a great idea. In fact, she's a co-writer on the CD. She's a co-writer of the song. What if we rewrite this entire song from the male perspective? Switch the roles, sung by a male, but representing a segment of male society in high school which I feel has been grossly underrepresented thus far in the song. You're on the phone with your boyfriend, he's upset, he's going off about the homework he doesn't get. He'll never know mathematics like I do. I'm at the library studying for a test. He's been out hitting mailboxes with a bat. He'll never know quantum physics like I do. But he wears muscle shirts, I wear bow ties. He's good looking and I forgot to zip my fly. I'm dreaming of the day when you wake up and find that what you really want is a superior mind. If you can see that I'm the best at Nintendo, all on earth, and why can't you see? You need a nerd like me. Walking with you through the halls of the Science Museum, talking all about Pythagorean theorem. Looking at my comic books, thinking to myself, I bet she likes Star Trek. And you got a brain that would make Albert Einstein proud. You use words that your boyfriend can't pronounce. The only thing you have in common with him is that you're both way into him. Cause he plays football, I'm in the chess club. He's team captain and I collect rare bugs. I've only got the brains, he's got the brawn. But in 10 years he'll be mowing my lawn. And why can't you see? You need a nerd like me. If you could see that I play Dungeons and Dragons, got a scholarship to MIT, he'll get a GED. GED. Fun. You gotta go to YouTube and check out that video. That was fun. I could brag on I had a director and actors do it. I just drove along. But anyway, we're having fun with these requests. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. When I got them, they were not funny. They scared me to death. And so what we're doing today, simply by asking the question, what if, is 3 things I've purposely not mentioned until now. Number 1, we're taking a huge problem and we're poking fun at it. We are having fun with it. We are bringing levity to the problem, and I mean to do that. And the reason I mean to do that is twofold. Number 1, that's not what we tend to do with problems. You know what we do with problems? We deify them. Yes, we set them on a pedestal and worship them. It drives me crazy. As soon as there's a problem, oh, have you heard about the problem? Oh, gosh, the problem. Oh, there's a problem. There's a problem. Oh, the problem. There's a meeting about the problem, and a memo about the problem, and a meeting about the memo about the problem, okay? You've never experienced that. And I'm not saying to diminish the importance of solving the problem. To the contrary, it is impossible to make fun of something without standing outside of it. In fact, the very act of making a joke or bringing levity to that problem causes a buffer by definition. I said these are artistic principles in a business context. If you study stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, improv comedy, any one of them, the first thing they teach you is become observational. That joke causes that distance, a new and better perspective, and I will guarantee you a better solution because of that perspective. Because we were willing to lighten it up, get outside of it, and see it in a different light. That's number 1. Just by asking what if. That's one great way to do this. Number 2, we're taking a huge problem and we're intentionally not looking at it as a problem. We are looking at it as an opportunity. These requests that I hated and dreaded and feared every day brought up the best in everything I knew. So what if, whatever it was you were thinking of when I asked you to think about whatever scares you or that you dread or that you avoid, what if there's something good about it? I know there's probably not, but what if there was? What would it be? Or what if there's an opportunity if you kind of project it out? Or if it's a personal thing, what if by overcoming it, It gave you an ability that made you unstoppable. I think that's why we get problems. And the way to turn them into an opportunity is to ask the question, and let's be honest, most speakers will say this, problem equals opportunity, right? There's little magnets on the refrigerator. There's no such thing as a problem without a gift for you, and it's solving. Beautiful. And that's great, but again, I'm a pragmatist. I'm like, okay, great. How? How does problem turn into opportunity? It's you, and it's me when we change. The problem doesn't always change, but when we do, if he's a solution, that's where we have the strength, that's where we have our power. What if is a great way to do that. And number 3, we're opening up our creativity. And I still get people sometimes who come up to me afterwards, who'll say, you know, I heard what you said about everybody's creative. I'm not really creative. I'm not worried about it. It's just not my thing and everything. And this is politically incorrect, but I'm going to say it anyway. Most of them work with numbers. I'm just saying. And it is patently false. Okay, I'll get on my soapbox for just a brief moment. We are not only all creative, we're all unbelievably creative. We are creative geniuses, every one of them. My book starts with the words, you are a genius. It's true. We're just creative in different ways. It is my suspicion that for a lot of us, our way of being creative stuck out. It was a little weird, and so we squelched it. And what I'm saying is, with the economy the way it is now, with the need for innovation, with coming up with new ways to do things that have been done before, new ways of looking at businesses, it's not just a good idea, it is imperative. It's mandatory. We need to be creative. We need to be innovative. And this is where it starts. Because if you don't create and create change and innovate and be creative, if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it for you, and they will not have your best interest at heart. So, we're going to ask the question, what if, right? What if, right? That's the first tool. So let's move to the second tool. I want you to write music that you can't play. Write music that you can't play. Or let's say the same thing in non-musical terms. Set goals that don't exist. A goal that exists, let's define that. If you set a goal for a 10% increase, however you would measure that, sales, revenue, customer satisfaction, whatever it is, that's a good goal, but to me it exists. Because even if you can't do it yet, most of us could probably see how to get to a 5 or 10% increase in pretty much anything. Work harder, work longer, hire help, be more productive. And that's fine. Most of our goals are that way, that sort of stepwise motion. And that's fine. But I'm about trying to affect exponential change simply because I've seen it happen too often not to. So, whatever time frame you set goals, try this for me, just to see if this works. Set one goal, where when you come up with the goal, don't start with what's possible. Start with what's cool. What's right? What's the dream case scenario? People always say, well, in a perfect world, I would... Yes, in a perfect world, you would what? Why is that not the goal? Oh, well, because it's impossible. And we kill it before it comes out of our mouths. It happens all the time. So, come up with this goal. Now, here's the test to know you have the kind of goal that I'm talking about. It takes courage to think it. The kind of goal that completes this phrase. Okay, this is nuts, but I'm going to... What is it that's nuts, but you're going to do it anyway? 3 things you got to do with that goal once you come up with it. Number 1, you got to write it down. You can't just think about it. If you just think about it, and you don't do it, you'll let yourself off the hook. Oh, I wasn't really going to do it. I was just thinking about it. That's the first manifestation. Write it down. Number 2, you got to commit to it. Get your heart in there. I'm going to do this. Oh, that's nuts. I don't know how. I'm going to do this. This is what great leaders do, by the way. Great leaders get in front of everybody and say, folks, here's where we're going. It's an awesome, honorable, worthy goal. I have no idea how to get there, but let's get started, right? Kennedy did this when he said we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. The technology didn't exist. He just said we're going to do it. So we did it. That phenomenon doesn't just work for Kennedy. It works for anybody. In fact, I use this all the time, and my biggest sin is I don't use it enough. It's so effective. So that's number 2, you got to commit to it. Number 3, you got to take some kind of physical action on it. Within 24 hours of writing it down, preferably right away. So, we're going to come up with a goal. You're going to write it down, you're going to commit to it, and you're going to take physical action. Call somebody, write some, sign up for the class, get the skill, get the team together, whatever it takes, whatever represents that goal. If you will do this, the coolest thing will happen. the universe will come to your aid. You're going to have help on this. I don't know exactly how this works. I don't care how it works. I don't know how electricity works, but I still flip the switch, okay? In fact, it's exactly the principle. The universe seems to like goals like this. I personally call it God. You can call it whatever you want to call it. So you come up with this goal, you'll think it's nuts, you'll write it down. You'll commit to it. You'll take action on it. And a couple days later, you meet somebody who starts talking about it out of nowhere. They have an expertise that applies to it. Maybe not in a way that you thought, but it opens a door. And you're going, how did you know that? Or you're spinning the dial on the television, you come across something you wouldn't have watched, but hold it. That's an idea of how I can make this happen. Coincidences start to happen to bring you to the goal. And I don't believe they're coincidences. I believe that they're brought about by that goal, prayer, intention, whatever you want to call it. I call it writing music you can't play because that's how I found it. I studied classical guitar for most of my 9 years of undergraduate work. Associate's degree. I'm the only student in history with tenure. But I would get these grandiose ideas. I'd hear a 60-piece orchestra and I'm going to do that on the guitar, you know, and I'd start writing. And I'd be so proud of these pieces. And I'd show my guitar player friends, and they'd be like, dude, can you play that? And I'd be like, dude, no. Because I couldn't. And I know I've seen it in context. I had to look back later, and that's why I have to figure this out ahead of time. I had set a goal. I'd set an impossible, crazy goal. I'd written it down. Lord knows I'm committed to it. I take action and practice every day. And one example of so many, I'm writing a book on it, on all the examples of how this works. We used to go to music stores on weekends. We go look at all the cool new guitars, and then we go buy picks. We were broke. And there was one weekend, it was Venom Music in Rockville, Maryland. I grew up in Virginia, so it was about an hour away. And it's out of business now, but it was a big music store. And I'm looking, and this guy's trying out a guitar, and he was amazing in a style I'd never heard or seen. It was real visual. And I just watched him, and I took it in. I was like, this. I went home, I got my guitar, and I started working on it. And a few days later, I kind of had a little bit of a command of it, and I remember this piece of music, so I pulled it out. And I had to adjust some things, but a week later, I'm playing this piece that a week earlier was impossible, just because I saw this guy. Metaphorically, it will happen the same way for you, individually, as a small team, or as an entire company, organization, whatever. Now, at this point in the program, I'm going to share with you a goal completion. Playing at Carnegie Hall, thank you for mentioning that, was one of those goals. I thought you had to study Bach for 40 years. Who knew you could get there by playing AC/DC for drunk people? But you can't. I had a show for 6 months here in Las Vegas. That was a goal I wrote down. I didn't even live in Las Vegas at the time. It happened. All these goals. Well, anyway, I heard a piece of music in the late 1970s, and I was like, someday I'm going to play that. And the only thing I did toward the goal was learn to play. But about 8 or 9 years ago, I started digging into it. And I said, I haven't been playing it for that long. I've been working on it for that long. I only got it a little more recently. I studied the great composers, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. This is by one of the great British composers, a guy named Freddie Mercury. Yes, that's the group Queen. The piece is called Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's got an opera of voices, it's got a full rock band, it's got this flowing piano part going from classical to pop and back and forth. Then it's got Freddie's unbelievable voice on the top, and I don't even sing it, so I had to figure it all out on the guitar. So it took a long time. But you know what? Any goal that you have worthwhile is going to be that way. It's going to have a lot of moving parts. And I can tell you this, you're going to come up with a plan in the beginning, and the only thing, I can guarantee you one thing about it, it won't go according to plan. People get upset when that happens. Don't. It just does. It's not going to go according to plan. That's why we have to be flexible. Anyway, this is Bohemian Rhapsody. Guitar Hero? I like that. I still think it needs more cowbell.
Yes.
No offense. Okay, so we're asking what if? What if I could do that? What would it look like? Writing music that you can't play, setting goals that don't exist. Richard Bach once wrote, here's a test to see if your purpose in life is over. If you're alive, it isn't. That means there's a profound and divine and wonderful reason we're all here. Literally in these seats with whatever's going on. When we talk about motivation, people call me a motivational speaker. Like, okay, let's talk about how do we motivate ourselves? How do we motivate the people around us? Almost always two things that work in tandem. They're never mentioned up here, but I'll tell them to you right now. Reward and punishment. That's how we do it. Reward, you get more money. Punishment, you get fired. Grades, A, F. Reward and punishment, okay? And that's a motivation, and that's effective, I mean, to a certain degree, but as a perspective check, this is the exact same way we train mice. How does that make you feel? What sets us apart as human beings is our ability to respond to the most powerful motivational force on this planet. And it's not power, money, or fame. It's a sense of purpose. Why we do what we do means everything to us as human beings. The meaning behind it, the reason we attach to it. So right away, you want to get more out of yourselves, your teams, your colleagues. Remember for yourself and remind others of why you do what you do. And you know what? It's always someone that we're serving. It's interesting, at least in English, that purpose and service almost rhyme. Because they go together. We find purpose where we find service, where we're able to serve. So, if there's a purpose and there's a reason for the way we spend our time, think about the way you spend your time and answer this question. Are you driving with the brakes on? In some area? My suspicion is that the answer is yes, and the reason I say that is that I'll confess to you that that's exactly what it is for me. I know it. I have to ask this question every day because I'm guilty of it. I get, it's like, oh, yeah, well, kinda. I'm gonna do it. Maybe tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, right? It's push-pull with the brakes, causes move sideways. And I don't want that for you to do. So the third tool, and then I want to wrap this up, is the way to take the brakes off. And a way to change everything in your life, really. It's a simple choice. I want you to become a virtuoso. I should say that in Italian. A virtuoso. A virtuoso in the art world is someone of a supreme level of skill. Someone who has dedicated his or her life to excellence so much that it's no longer a choice, it's just who they are. And to be clear, I'm not saying I am a virtuoso. I have chosen to be on the path, though, and I can tell you a lot about it. First of all, most of us, most human beings, never make this choice. And that hurts. Because there's so much out there. If we just chose, hey, I want to be my personal best. If it's worth doing, I want to do it. And I'm not talking about success or failure. You couldn't be in this room if you weren't extraordinarily successful already. The opposite of virtuoso is not failure. The opposite of virtuoso is competent. There are many competent people. There are precious few virtuosos. So I want you to make that choice. I want you to act on it. That means looking at the things in your life and each day trying to get a little bit better. With a little more time, I would go a little more in depth about this, but we can talk about it later, afterwards, or whatever. But I wanted to make sure to share this with you because when I made this choice in the late 90s, it was someone who, I was doing pretty well, and this guy said, have you resolved to be the best? Meaning become a virtuoso. And I was like, dude, I'm doing pretty well here. And he said, dude, that's not what I asked you. And he was like 60, so dude was funny. And I realized, he said, have you resolved to be this? And I realized I had. Here I was doing what I've been put on the planet to do, and because it was working, I was coasting. It's a problem with coasting. Most adults are coasting in some important area of their lives. It's a problem with coasting. It only happens downhill. So, when I made that choice, it changed everything. It's like, hey, if it makes me better, I want it. And I started taking lessons. Who knew? I'm self-taught, Where's the problem? I'm self-taught. The problem with being self-taught is the teacher's not that good. And you made a great investment and a great investment of time and energy and resources to be here, to be a part of it. This is a great investment in that move toward virtuoso. So let's sum this up. I want you to ask the question, what if? What if we could do that? What would it look like? I want you to write music you can't play, set goals that don't exist. And more than anything, I would love it if every one of us would make the choice today to become a virtuoso and live by that. Will you do that? Yes! I'm gonna try this piece. This is I'll wrap it as fast as I can. It's one little piece of music, but it's one of my favorites to do. I had a request for it. I was playing in a ski lodge in Virginia, just like a ski lodge in Tampa. The lady asked me to play The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Yeah, story of a fiddle battle. I said, she was unimpressed. So I went for it. Who knew? Both the people that night enjoyed it. Mom and Dad. And so I've been playing ever since then. Since this is the last thing I'm going to do, first of all, if you have any questions for me, this is my favorite thing. After programs, I love to be available for questions. So I'm going to go down to the club that we're going to. I'm going to go with you guys. And so if you have any questions for me, come up and say hi. And you know what? The number one question that I get turned out to be a big win-win. It's something we created with this. People always ask me, because I do music and entertainment and the message and everything, like about a book or about CDs or DVDs, those kind of things. And it's weird, you know, it's like, oh, you can go to my website or you can do, you know, we have it available back, but we found a way to get around that. What we do is we like to, as often as possible, we partner with organizations to make, for an affordable price for everything for the group, but free for the attendees. We like to give them away as a package deal, as a beautiful, this really cool package. We created this thing that really looks cool. So you can't buy anything that I have because tomorrow night it will all be delivered to you in a package which looks like this. You'll get my book, my CDs, everything, and it's all free. Courtesy of the WYNN Encore. Thank you guys, you've been absolutely awesome. It goes like this. You hear that? Yeah. personality disorder and turn it into a career.
Mike, thank you so much. Awesome, 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 awesome.